Welcome back. My Arma 3 Liberation Spectives episode number, I think it's 3, February 24th, 2021. There's much to go over in this episode. I'm going to cover a little bit about persistence. We'll also cover production state machine, state machine dealing with adding capability as well as changing the production and the actual producer phase of the production state machine. Those will be our topics in this session. Okay, let's go over persistence a little bit. There's not much to it, really. I simplified the per frame event handler significantly. So it does two steps. It collates all the factory sector storage containers, and then it collates eligible objects within range of each FOB. That's all it does. We dropped any notion of including, excluding, whatever. That was just too complicated. So we simplified that, and it seems to be working a lot nicer now. One key note, though, added a proper CBA setting for that. So persistence refresh objects period updates the objects to persist every so often in seconds. The default is 15, so you can configure that as you will, and that's used to launch and maintain the per frame event handler every so often. Let's talk about production settings. There are several. I added several during these last couple of iterations and just gathered them all up here under one roof, so to speak, under production. So let's go over a couple of these. Lead time is the lead time in seconds, the natural lead time for resources being produced. I've also got a notion of rescheduling the last resource. So if you recall in Legacy Liberation, you would continually get production moving. If you set it to supply, it would continually produce supply. If you set it to ammo, you would get ammo, and so on and so forth. So there's an option to continually reschedule the last resource in the queue. You can uncheck that, so you have a finite queue setting. So if you schedule, let's say, supply, ammo, and one fuel, you will only get supply, ammo, and one fuel until the next time you visit the manager. So there's this option. Let's see, default cost and target cost. What does that mean? When you're building capability at a factory sector, you have the target cost. Typically, it's something like 50 resource, unless you've tweaked your mission. Like 50 resource for the target you're building. So if you're building supply, it'll be 50 supply. The default cost otherwise is something like 100 of any other resource. So if you're building supply, it'll also cost you maybe 100 ammo and 100 fuel, right? In this instance, for testing and speed of all that, I've got it set to 0 and 0. So I can build and just test to make sure the functionality is good. Let's see. I also included an option to credit the nearest FOB. So typically you would build a capability and it would debit against the factory sector. So you can do that with it unchecked. With credit the FOB, allows you to delay that debit or push that debit off onto the nearest FOB instead. Okay, so let's see. Yield simply means the yield of each production cycle. So the default there is 100 resource. per crate that gets produced. Maximum queue depth, we've been over that I think before, is 4. Production publisher period. So if you're navigating the manager, production manager, we'll go over that in a few minutes. The period for refreshing from the server to the client is that 3 seconds in this case. I've also got a flag for whether the production cycle is currently producing resources, so I can throttle the overall production whether it's going to produce a resource. So the cycle will go and go and go, and if it sees that flag, it'll produce. If it does not, then it will not. Also for debugging and troubleshooting, I have a couple of options. These are, you should never really touch these. These are for internal use only. Yeah, they do what they say they're going to do. They interrupt the natural operation of the lead time and duration. So in this case, I've got the override. The default is 1800 seconds, 30 minutes. The override is 10 seconds. And we'll see why that's important as we visit the factory sectors. I can not have to wait for things. Okay, let's go over building storage. So I'm at Core Factory here, and it does not have a storage yet. I'm going to go ahead and select my build storage option. So I enter my build mode, right? I covered this a bit last time. I discovered that indeed the vectoring is opposite. So I will lay him down like that and just arrange him like so. Doesn't have to be perfect. So I pointed him in the northern-ish direction, right? Unloading will be to the south. Maybe we can figure out some way to flag those differently at some later point, but for now that's what it is. So I will build, boom, and I get a build, right? With the persistence setting the way it is, I've got that happening every 15 minutes or so at the moment. So short of a administrator intervention on the debugger, that'll persist every 15 minutes. That'll roll up this, including with all the other production sectors. Okay, I am still at Core Factory, and I want to talk a little bit about change orders. Production supports the notion of change orders. Change orders are submitted in a queue to the server, to the state machine, and there are 3 types. 2 of them are interactive. 1 is automated. The first one being add capability. The second interactive is when you're managing the production queue, and the third automated change order is when production actually occurs. All 3 are considered change orders and are handled as such via the state machine. Okay, so in this instance, I know that Corey supports fuel production at the moment, so I'm going to go ahead and add supply. Boom. So I have in the top right added supply capability to the factory with the cost enumerated there, and then add ammo capability, added ammo capability to the factory sector. So that's pretty much that, not too difficult. And then if I go to my map, see the map marker also changed with that. Supply ammo, fuel. Okay, let's talk about managing production. All right, so my list pops up. I pull up production manager, I get a list back from the server. These are my active sectors. I have ordered these by grid ref for your convenience. Maybe we can include a title in here to order by one or the other, but that's not a priority right now. I'm at Corey, right? So I know that Corey can produce supply ammo or fuel. So let's get him producing a supply. So supply goes into the queue, and in a moment we see the servers processing, having a timer updating. That's a couple seconds remaining. Boom. What happened there? I got a supply drop into the container. We are not rescheduling the last resource, so the queue is empty, and the timer goes back to idle state. And I have a supply. How about that? Now you will also note, go back to my production, Corey will also note my totals are updating as well, right? So currently have 100 supply in an estimated 1 crate. Boom, perfect. Let's put an ammo in the queue. And maybe we'll drop a fuel in the queue as well. So I'll give those a few moments to produce. Ammo produces, followed by a fuel. Wow. Ammo and fuel produce and dropped in the queue. Now the queue is once again idle. All right, let's have a look now. I am at the Gory factory. And Gory has been busy. Produced a lot of resource here. The resource bin is full. So what happens then? Go to manage production. Gory. We see what's tallied there. Totals and crates. You can produce supply. Don't care about ammo fuel in this instance for this example. Go ahead and start a supply running. What happens when the storage is backed up? The timer is going to run, and the timer is going to run. And now the timer is going to continue to run, and run, and run. So now we see we're no longer counting down. We're now on the plus side of the timer. We have exceeded the timer, having produced anything. So he's going to sit there in the queue, I believe, until such time as something opens up. So let's unload ammo. And then we get a supply. Let's recheck our queue. Gory has an empty queue. And I've got an ammo parked out there. So I'll go ahead and throw another supply in the queue. Let's see what happens. And once again, we're on the plus side of the timer. The timer is going to sit there parked and waiting for a spot to open. It's going to run and run and run. And we can see it by our estimates and totals here. We are full. All right. I'm at Sophia Power Plant, and you see that we have some space available in the queue. I've already configured the settings to allow for continual production. So let's go to Sophia, check her out. We've got supply ammo fuel we're capable of doing. So let's go ahead and add a supply. I want supply to be produced. As long as we're running continually, we should observe supply gets produced and subsequently rescheduled. There we go. Let that run a couple times. Got another supply. Gets rescheduled. I'll go ahead and throw an ammo in the queue. Supply gets produced, popped off the queue. Ammo's the next guy in the queue. Ammo got produced and should be rescheduled. There we go, got ammo. And I'll throw fuel in the queue. Maybe another supply, how about that? All right. Ammo got produced, fuel's on deck now. Fuel is produced. Now supply is back in the queue. Another supply. Continually produce supply as long as that option is enabled to reschedule the last resource. Okay, I hope you've enjoyed this installment of my Arm 3 Liberation spectives episode. Went over a couple things. We went over some settings, persistent settings, went over some production concerns. And there may be a few quirks here and there. Go ahead, we can submit bugs and feature requests and so forth. But the state machine and the production manager dialog, all those things for production appear to be in functional order at the moment. Yep, the next things I think we'll maybe looking at are logistics. That'll be the next adventure in